All right, at this time, call to order the Board of Education for the Muskego-Norway School District. Verification of meeting posting. This meeting was posted in accordance with our state's open meeting laws. Attendance roll call.
Mrs. Boyer?
Here.
Mr. Hyde?
Here.
Mrs. Baus?
Here.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Here.
Mr. Blair? Mrs. Blair?
Here.
And I'm here. Ms. Buckmaster? See, I
Yes.
screwed it up the first time. Easily.
Okay. Just a little wobbly.
Okay, we're all here.
We have 7 present. We have a quorum to proceed and conduct action since action is scheduled to be conducted. Pledge of Allegiance. Would everyone please rise and join Mrs. Blair in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tracy. Moving on, approval of agenda. Motion is in order to approve the agenda
So moved.
as presented.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 2, consent agenda. A motion is in order to approve the consent agenda in gross.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or any item or individual item a board member wishes to remove for discussion? Going once, going twice. Hearing none. On the consent agenda, all those in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Consent agenda is approved in gross. Moving on, item 3, student representation, our student report. She may have thought 7, so why don't we hold off on this? And then it's Laura's last night she graduates, so I did ask her to come, but she may not have seen the time shift. So we'll if there's no objection, we'll proceed on to item 4 and get back. Hearing no objection, we'll move on to item 4, superintendent's report. Dr. Thompson.
The only item that's in the superintendent's report this evening is the contributions to the profession, and as you'll see, Jeremiah has a number of items here, wellness and engagement at the WASBO, and real-world ethics also at that same conference, and the custodial maintenance conference will be held here at Muskego, not here specifically, but in our district at Muskego Lakes this summer, and Julie Kelly has 2 WASBO conference pieces as well, real-world business ethics and what do fiscally successful schools do differently. So that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson.
Welcome.
Moving on to other reports. President's report, I have nothing, though I will speak prior to our first action item. Any other board member reports? Let me go along the line. Mrs. Boyer?
No.
Mr. Hyde?
No.
Mrs. Boss? Mr. Zimmerman?
No.
Mrs. Blair?
Yes, I have my meeting on tomorrow, actually.
Or CISA?
Yes.
Do you need someone there?
Um,
I can be.
it would be nice if you could. I'll send you the information then.
Okay, thanks. 'Cause I'd be happy to support that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay, then thank you. Mr. Bowman?
None.
All right, hearing no other board member reports, move on to committee reports. We have no committee reports. Moving on to item 6, resolution action items. Item A, mitigation measures. So before we begin on this, I'm just going to explain the procedure, okay? So we have a motion to discuss and take action if we desire on the mitigation measures for our school district. In order for any discussion to happen, there has to be a motion made, and that has to be on the floor for discussion. And then once that's on the floor, then the board can amend it, adjust it, and do what they need in order to take action on it. During that discussion, after a motion is on the floor, I will ask the board if they have any initial comments that they may want to say or have people here. At that point, I will open up public forum, and each member of the community who is actually on here, if you forgot or don't have this, just let us know. I mean, we want everyone to be able to speak. But anyone speaking will have 2 minutes. 2. So I would ask that you be short, succinct, and to the point while you're speaking to the board. Okay? And we do have a timer, so we want to be equitable to everyone. So just please be aware of that. Jamie will be our recorder and our timer. And a few things I just want to point out. And I'm just going to speak on these. And so back in July of 2020, this board set a goal, and it was really an ultimate goal for our students and staff to return safely to in-person instruction, and we did that based on our public health data. We made physical reopening decisions based on local health conditions, any school-specific information at any of our schools, along with any additional guidance from the Waukesha County Health Department. Those are the 3 items that we followed. Okay? All of this was done, all of it was done for the purpose of flattening the curve. If anyone recalls, back then, that was why any of this was initiated. And that is what is part of our discussion, or was part of our discussion back in July and August. Okay? And as you can imagine, if you haven't had a chance to look at the data, the curve, there really is none. It's flat. Okay? So under the direction of our superintendent, Dr. Kelly Thompson, all schools, elementary, middle, and high school, developed a comprehensive plan to accommodate all learning based on either in-person, if you wanted to attend, based on virtual, if you were not comfortable attending in person, you could go virtual. And then we had a hybrid, which is more of an e-learning for those who were on isolation or quarantine. You were able to still participate in your classes just at home, okay? And this year has been nothing but a constant cycle of hard decisions and varied opinions. And I can assure you, almost guarantee you, that for each opinion out there, someone else feels exactly the opposite, okay? So for this evening, I'm just going to ask, as people are speaking, to please remember the many positive attributes our district has enjoyed over this past year. I just want to set off a few. Our athletics, since September, in full force. We brought home regional, sectional, and state championships. Our clubs and activities, over 82 various clubs and activities, including homecoming, concerts, musical, prom, and soon graduation. Our academics, over 27 academic competitions with national, state, and regional recognition, all during the pandemic. We were one of 2 schools in the entire county that never closed its doors, ever. So today, the item before us, as our vaccinations continued to expand and our healthcare metrics continued to improve, any additional actions that we take is what is being discussed here tonight, okay? So please keep that in mind, and I want to thank our superintendent, your staff, the entire school district for really staying the course and for flattening that curve and for accommodating and adjusting consistently and constantly to all these changing conditions that we have. And our district nurse who was behind there, Tracy Stodecker, who really was managing all of these isolations and quarantining and working with our Waukesha County Health Department, helped keep our schools safe. So thank you all very much. So as we move on, we've got our current school year, graduation, summer school. So just for the record, we've already announced that any face coverings are recommended, not required, for summer school. We will have no intervention regarding face coverings for summer school. For graduation, the same. No, we'll recommend what the county says, but we are not requiring anything. Okay? That brings us to our current school year. We've tailored back our face covering use while outside. We've tailored back our quarantining for close contacts. It's my understanding we still contact the parents and let them know it so they are aware, but those choices then are made by the parents. So basically, if you are sick, don't come to our school. It's as simple as that. That's what we're counting on, okay? So that brings us to our agenda item here. So given everything that has happened, I will take privilege of the floor. And to get this started off, I am going to move to strike any verbiage of face coverings requirement, or any verbiage requiring face coverings from our student handbooks effective May 24th, 2021.
Second.
Got that? Okay.
Blair?
Terry went first.
Boyer.
So now the motion's been made and seconded, and just so we're clear, that is where our face coverings are required, it's embedded in our student guide books. So we don't have a policy on COVID. We simply embedded the face mask requirement in each of the student handbooks for the elementary, for the middle, and the high schools. So my motion, and that has been seconded, is to strike that language from all of the guidebooks effective May 24th, which would allow staff the time to accommodate those who are uncomfortable with that. So now it's on the floor. It's open for discussion. I will go around and start with Kevin. Any comments prior to public comment?
No, just everybody to remain civil and courteous of everybody that's talking.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Blair?
I do have a statement, but I'd rather make it after people talk.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's fine. Mr.
Nothing right now.
Mrs. Boss? Mr. Hyde?
No comments at this time.
Mrs. Boyer?
Nothing.
All right. At this time, I will open public comment up for this specific item only. And I would ask that Deb Schrader please come to the podium. Uh-oh. Better go back to two. Deb's
I'll
gonna
go
see
back
that.
to two. I'll go
Okay,
back to two.
okay.
I'll give her those 2 minutes.
Oh,
Deb Schrader, South 79, West 19178, River Oaks Court.
are you gonna reset it or just? Okay. Okay. Deb?
Hi, Deb Schrader. I'm a little taken back by the date that was just announced for this, effective May 24th. I guess I was under the impression we were talking about immediately removing the face coverings. So I kind of starting with a question. I'm not sure where this is coming from. The date? The May 24th?
Really can't. The date is just something I threw in to get us started. So,
Okay.
um,
Okay. Well, I guess I want to thank the school board for event and for what they've done to keep us open for the year. I just feel that with all the current data that we have, what the CDC has announced just last week, that there is really no need to keep our kids in these face coverings. And I actually am sad to look around and see the whole school board sitting in face coverings. It actually makes me sad. I think it's doing more damage to our children than benefiting them in any way. And I do feel like, again, you've done a great job keeping the schools open, but it's time now. You know, we didn't have all the data that we have when school started. I understand why you made the decisions you made then, and I trust that the board is smart enough to realize that that stuff is no longer applicable at this time, and that we need to, you know, let our kids breathe and act normally and be kids, and that these face coverings are not benefiting them in any way. So thank you for your time, and again, I'm hoping that this is going to be effective immediately, not May 24th. Thank you.
Sure. Hey, Blake, can we move that a bit? It's hard to see the window glare. Yeah,
So just
Like the
this way a
whole
little bit,
stand.
we can't see.
there,
There,
that's good.
perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Second. Jamie Belfus? Jamie?
Jamie Belfus, West 124, South 6540, Hawthorne Road.
I wasn't planning on saying anything, because I don't, who's ever gonna win the debate on masks, safe or not safe? If you feel that they're safe and they keep you safe, you're not gonna change your mind. Mine is more of the cure. COVID, it's treatable. If you have not looked into it or questioned anything that is coming out, I don't know what to tell you. You're living in a bubble. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, there are many doctors, tens of thousands of people that are being treated with these drugs safely. They have been around for decades. Decades. They have decades of safety. But yet we sit here and we pump the vaccine into our kids. I was horrified this school. Even my son was horrified seeing his friends line up to get something that no one knows anything about. No one. If you put that in your kid, I question your parenting. There's no reason that we're still in mass. We are adults. Try some critical thinking and grow up. The news, believing everything they say, it's ridiculous. Do a little research. I'm sick and tired of just being in the same spot we were a year ago. I knew half this stuff. Then, I urge everyone to just question what you're told. When I say follow the money, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying there's reasons people lie. Don't think everyone's a good person, because not everyone is.
Thank you, Jamie.
And I wanted
This is over you.
To the teachers,
Correct.
to who's ever scared, it's treatable.
So
There's-
I can make copies.
Tons and tons of data and research that says
And there's the vaccine.
it is very good. Vaccine stuff, it's, many doctors have said, and that's only what I could print out. I have
I
so
can
much
type your
more.
name, right? You're cool with
Yeah,
that? Okay,
I'm gonna send you an email,
great.
so much more. Anyone's scared,
Thank you, Jamie.
no need to be scared anymore. None.
Great. Eddie Ritter. Are they all like from one side? Are those other ones?
Those are all sign-ins.
Good evening, everyone. How's this? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good evening. Everyone's going to be emotionally charged.
Can you hang on a minute, please?
Sorry, 1 second.
Just to read your address in.
Eddie Ritter, South 69, West 13830, Tusk Corners.
We have to do all this legal stuff.
I didn't know how it went.
Part of that, sorry. Thank you. There you go. Now you're good.
All right, so I recently moved up to Wisconsin. I'm from here originally. I was laid off because India stopped shipping tea with 4 hours notice and our company tanked. And moved back here near family. And I gotta tell you, being a single father and having no choice but to send my daughter to school in a mask has just been eating me up so bad. I know you all probably feel the same way, and when you're in a position where you have many variables and you're trying to be careful, you know, I get that. And everyone's gonna have something to say about it. I've got mountains of data that I share online like most everybody else. And I just want us to focus on the coming year, the next flu season, the next scare that potentially could be flowing, and most of all, I guess fighting it with diet. If we can encourage just healthier lunches as much as possible, boosting vitamin C levels, because also with kids in masks, they haven't been exposed to a variety of flu viruses this year, perhaps. You know, if they even work like that, who knows? Just to prepare them for that and encourage gym teachers to really be pushing the kids, you know, exercise, getting them to sweat out the toxins and all that. Because my concern isn't this year anymore, it's just next year. And for this stuff that seems nonsensical that we've never practiced as Americans before in the history of health care, to continue on next year, you know, that's really all I can ask of you guys, is to consider that over masks, because that's where health starts. They want us to act like this piece of cloth is protecting anyone from anything. Hopefully it has. It made the influenza virus disappear, I guess, so that's concerning, I guess, you know. So if we can just focus on that, and also for everyone else that continues to speak after I leave with my daughter, we can break down these political barriers, because that's how they break down communities, is this, like, this team and that team, you know, and just start talking about what's actually going on.
Christine Schindler.
Christine Schindler, South 97, West 13393, Lloyd Mangrum Court.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for having me. My name is Christine Schindler. I am a nurse practitioner in the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit of Children and a nurse scientist. My area of research is in patient safety. I do want to give kudos to the board. I have been incredibly impressed with the degree of safety our kids have by following the CDC guidelines. I feel like we have been one of the only schools to remain open, which has been great for their mental, physical, emotional well-being. I do have concerns, however, about decreasing the mitigation strategies at this point. The CDC, while saying that we can unmask for fully vaccinated adults, for children, the recommendation is still to have full mitigation strategies. I fully support that. That's where the science is. While adults have the option and have the option to get vaccinated, it's just opened up for our 12 to 15-year-olds. We expect less than 12, the 2 to 11-year-old crowd this fall. I deal with our vulnerable children in the hospital. I had a conversation with Tracy earlier, and I was able to pull our data. While we haven't had a lot of respiratory COVID, I've taken care of, we pulled the data up to through February when it's collated, 75 cases in our community, not Muskego, but our southeast Wisconsin community of multi-inflammatory syndrome in children, which is a multi-inflammatory process that affects their heart, all organs. I do wish people had the opportunity to come and see where I work. We are at the 11th hour, and I feel like it is not time to pump the brakes at this point. I really encourage individuals to follow the CDC recommendations with plans to readdress this once children, all children, have the opportunity to be vaccinated prior to the fall. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
anybody do that to you.
Yeah, please be
That's
courteous.
extremely wrong.
Will you please be
And you know it.
respectful,
apologize.
please?
Give
Thank you.
everybody the same time of day,
Thank you.
just like everybody else, Scott.
Thank you.
Apologize.
Thank you, Kevin, for forcing that. I do encourage some comedy here. Let's be civil. Moving on, Ann Zilke.
Ann Zilke, West 151, South 8108, Harvest Court.
My name is Ann Zilke. My daughter Isla is an incredibly special little girl who's in 3rd grade this year at Bay Lane. We all know what a difficult year this has been. So many people have sacrificed so much. And while we would like our lives to return to normal, the fact is we are still in the midst of a once-in-a-century health crisis. The pandemic has ever so cruelly reminded us that how we treat the most vulnerable among us is truly the measure of our society. Our school system has a moral obligation to keep all members of our school community safe, including my daughter. Isla has developmental disabilities. Research suggests that people with developmental and intellectual disabilities are 2.5 times more likely to contract COVID and almost 6 times more likely to die from the infection than the general population. The simple fact is that my daughter's right to live outweighs your perceived right to choose whether or not to wear a mask. Anyone who's ever met Isla knows how hard she works every single day to exist in a world that is not set up to meet her needs. It can be hard for her to develop relationships with adults and peers. She absolutely adores her teacher. I'm begging you to allow her to safely finish out the year in person. The disruption of her learning environment at this point would be detrimental to her environment. We know that masks work. The science is clear. When the year began, we all committed to the rules for in-person learning. Face coverings was one of those commitments. You promised it would continue. Please honor your promise. I'm acutely aware that this topic has become extremely polarized and unnecessarily politicized. As a community and a district, the health and safety of our children should continue to be our #1 focus. Please continue to follow the science. Please have the courage to stand up for my child here tonight. Keep your promise. Continue to do everything you can to keep her safe at school.
Thank you, Ann.
Written from 8 other family members who couldn't be here tonight.
Got it.
So there's one for
I will
everyone.
have those submitted. Thank you.
Thanks,
Ann.
Rick.
Make sure her name is on that thing. Heidi Edwards.
Heidi Edwards, West 196, South 8772, Windover.
For those of you who don't know me, my name's Heidi Edwards. I'm an English teacher here at the high school. Many of you, I've had your kids in my classroom. But what's more important to me is my 2 actual children who attend Mill Valley Elementary School. I've been a part of the community for 6 years now, both working within the district and living here. And my husband and I chose this district because when we asked everyone we knew, this was the place they said cared the most about kids, cared about their education, and cared about their safety. And I don't want to talk much about my role as a teacher here because let's be honest, that's actually not what's important tonight. What's important tonight is my role in this community as a parent. Now, from 20 years in education, 2 of which I spent as an administrator sitting at board meetings every month, I know what the role of a school board is. I know what we're supposed to be doing here, and it's what's best for students. In fact, one of the reasons I love working here is because I know that everything I bring before anyone I work with kids, if I can tag along with it, it's what's good for kids, it gets done. And that's one of the things that I love so much about this district. At this time, neither of my own 2 children are old enough to be vaccinated, along with all of the other students who are under the age of 12. Even some of my students here in the high school are either not, just became old enough to get vaccinated and haven't had the opportunity or didn't know that this was coming and that they needed to get vaccinated right now. I'm a little confused by the push to eliminate mask wearing when over half of our students in the district have not had equal access to getting vaccines because of the laws that go along with it right now. We've successfully reduced COVID in this district, and I'm so proud to say that I've worked here in person all year, while I've watched other districts struggle with being virtual and in hybrid. What I ask is that you as board members consider your role of in loco parentis. It is the job of the board and everyone employed by the district to act in the role of the parent and protect our children and keep them safe in the school building. And for my two small children, I hope you can consider them tonight. Thank you.
I'm going to try this one. Tom Kabaska? Is it?
That's close enough.
All right, sorry, Tom, if I got it wrong.
Kabaski?
All right.
Tom Kabaski, South 84, West 12683, Blue Heron Lane.
As soon as you see your time, Tom.
Alrighty.
There you go.
So, thank you, all of you. First off, apologize for snapping at the young lady over there. I was a little shocked, sorry. Bottom line, I think, I'm nervous as hell, so just bear with me. I think most of us probably made up our minds about a year ago, right? We're looking at this and thinking, geez, we're still in this pot. I know I'm frustrated about it as well. I found out about this meeting about an hour ago. I jotted some notes down. That's out the window. I have 3 kids at Bay Lane. A 3rd grader named Sophia, who's 8 years old. A 1st grader named Daniel. We call him Dondo because that's how Sophia used to call him. She's 8. He's 8 in 1st grade. And Matthew. Matthew's in pre-K at Bay Lane. Matthew's our miracle. Okay. I've got a story similar to yours. Okay. He came home on a ventilator. All right. We spent 10 months in the hospital with this kid. He was about this big. If you've ever held a little kitten, a newborn kitten, that's what it was on Sunday, 2 days old. That's how he felt. What I want to ask you, first off, I applaud you guys for what we've done. The rest of this country is talking about going back to school. We're talking about it right now because the CDC updated its guidance. They didn't change their guidance, they updated their guidance. They also have guidance that I've printed out about an operational strategy for K-12 schools through phased prevention. There's 5 things here, guys, and I got 30 seconds to get it out. 1, universal and correct use of masks. 2, physical distancing. 3, hand washing and respiratory etiquette. 4, cleaning and maintaining health facilities. And 5, contact tracing in combination with isolation and quarantine. This was updated 2 days ago, guys. This is what we should be following. If you think we should be backing off because the CDC did something, you can't ignore what the CDC is saying right here, okay? We get to do what we want. I want to go play basketball and dunk on the neighborhood kids, but I can't do that, all right? I got to be respectful of everything.
Please, everybody, please.
At the end of the day,
Please.
if you think we should be changing things because the CDC changed things, then look and do their own research on what the CDC is saying. Because unless you've got a physician's degree, a nurse,
Heads up, Tom.
et cetera,
Thank you. Please,
you don't have a
in the
lot to
audience,
say.
thank you, Tom.
So I'd like to submit this as part of the record, and I do applaud all of you guys, because you know what? Our community
Yeah.
came together. We're back in school.
And thank you, Tom.
Sorry for not taking it.
Okay.
Rachel Meyer.
Rachel Meyer.
Rachel Meyer, West 145, South 6975, Brentwood Drive.
As soon as you see your time, Rachel, it's all yours.
Okay.
Right now.
Great. I'm a retired special education teacher and currently substitute in the Muskego-Norway School District. I'm speaking tonight in support of continuing the current mitigation measures the district has in place. There are only 16 student school days left. The Muskego-Norway School District has done a great job keeping students and staff safe during the pandemic. Keeping the current mitigation measures in place will ensure the safety of students and staff for the rest of the school year. 16 school days. Children under the age of 12 are not yet vaccine eligible, and children 12 through 16 have just recently become eligible and have not received their full 2 doses of vaccine. And not all staff members have chosen to become vaccinated. The Student and Family Handbook states face coverings will be required throughout the school year. Changing this requirement would negatively impact the integrity of the handbook. Keep the mitigation plan in place. Keep the students and staff safe. 16 more school days. Thank you.
Max Leonard, is that the?
Max.
No, yeah, that's all right.
She had 50 seconds left. Can I tack him onto mine?
Yeah, sorry, Max.
It's Maxine.
It's Maxine, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just adjust this because I'm very
We're going to say your name, and we'll get your timer set, so go right ahead while we're doing all this, okay?
Maxine Leonard, West 182, South 8758, Racine Avenue.
And as soon as you see your time,
You know what?
There you
Can I
go.
take this off?
oh, here, Blake, can you and sister, please?
That, I want my 2
Go
seconds
up to
back.
I will get, you'll get them back.
We'll get it back.
I want my 2 seconds back. Yes, okay. Well, normally my speech was 6 minutes, so this is going to be a fast drive-through, and I'm going to do just some highlights. There's a wonderful study by the American Institute of Economic Research by Dr. Roger Koops, which states masks make no significant impact in stopping the spread of COVID-19. They lay heavy blame on our government leaders, but argue that the so-called medical experts have been largely unscientific, illogical, and irrational in their guidelines and statements. They talk about following the science, but they're truly blinded by it. So let's talk science. Early on 2020, they knew the key risk group were the elderly persons with medical conditions. There was an extremely low transmission rates and very low likelihood of children spreading COVID. In the leading journal Nature, estimated the COVID-19 survival rate to be approximately 99.995% in children and teens. Secondary transmission evidence is non-existent. In the Nature Communications of November 2020, studied 10 eligible persons, it was demonstrated that asymptomatic spread does not appear to happen at all. Researchers from the University of Oxford examined the data regarding the effectiveness of the use of masks. Findings: masks alone have no significant effect in interrupting the spread of influenza in the general public nor healthcare workers. They also speculate that there's likely an elevated rate of harm infection when using cloth masks, which most of these kids are using. And I understand the people that want the masks because you have been instructed and you have been paralyzed with fear by the social media, and day in and day out. Wear the mask, you're going to kill grandma. Well, here's grandma. I'm 70 years old, polio, rheumatic fever, scarlet fever, COVID-19. Take the masks off. Common sense.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak before the Board of Education that has not had a comment card? We'll just need you to fill out the comment card.
I filled out a card on the way in.
Oh, is it the, here, where are the ones?
What was your name, sir?
Kyle Wooler.
Somebody else wasn't called too.
Bowler?
Yes.
Here. Pardon? Oh, yeah, there's some, we're going to get you some. Okay. All right, Kyle, we're just going to read your name and then, okay.
Kyle Wohler, South 74, West 19041, Bay Court.
Make sure we get your time set. And then I'm looking forward to, we're watching Hunter too as we go. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. So first, I just want to say thank you to the school board, Dr. Thompson. This year has been challenging for everybody. I get it. I've seen it in my kids. I've seen the way they come home from school. I've seen kids being pulled out of sports because they were near somebody that had it. So I see that side of it as well. And I'm sympathetic to your kids that have these ailments that it's a struggle. I'm sure it's a struggle, and I wouldn't want to wish that upon anybody. And I truly, I pray for you and your family with that. One of the things I want to say is the difference between, one thing we haven't talked about is the difference between high school and elementary kids. High schoolers are at that age. They are challenged with a lot, driving. They're given the responsibility to make decisions on their own. Why are we now becoming that we have to rein them all in and say, we're sorry, you have to wear a mask? When these kids, they're doing their own homework. They're doing what they need to do. That's what we teach them to do. We're not here to guide them through it all. That's not our job. Our job is to prepare them for life. How are we preparing them when we constantly are telling them what they have to do? I can tell you right now, you can have these kids wearing masks all day long in school, but when they get out of school, they're hugging on each other, wrestling, drooling all over each other, sharing sodas. I've seen it with my own eyes. It is what it is. We can't stop. Kids are kids. They need to play. They need the interaction. They need the hug. They need to love. The last thing, one thing that I just want to touch on that nobody has brought up, understanding the immune deficiencies. I get that. But what about depression, alcoholism, drug abuse? Nobody has said anything about the kids. It's frustrating when the kids come home and all they are is depressed and angry. I'm sorry, but I'm just emotional about it, but I apologize. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kyle. What? Yeah. Dan Dombrowski, did you want to speak or just?
I was just listening.
Deanna?
Nasinski.
Okay, thank you. I did not want to misdo the name, so
Don't pronounce the
thank you.
K.
What is it? Oh, Deanna's her first.
Deanna Nasinski, South 75, West 16463, Hilltop Drive.
Thank you.
What's that? Okay.
Hi. I did not come here to speak, but I do want to thank the board, first of all, for all your hard work this year in keeping our kids in school. Not going hybrid, I work in another district, and they made a mess of the school year, and you guys did a fabulous job. I just want to let you guys know that. I'm still not over the fact that my son did not get to graduate among all the graduates last year. I would have gladly had him wear a mask last year, anything to graduate. That's done. That's over with. We know people have had COVID. We've recovered. I had COVID. Here I am. Why are we treating our kids like they are sick? They're not. They're healthy. If you're sick, you should wear a mask. If you're sick and you have a virus, do not come to school. I'm all for that, but we need to end the mask mandate. We need to breathe. We need to give our kids a choice. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
One more.
Michael, did you want to speak? No, okay. David Jambrosiak, do you want to speak? No, okay. We're just going through it. I just want to make sure everyone's got a shot, so if I butcher your name, sorry. Okay. Mark?
Oh, good.
You're good? Okay, Mark. Nick Zilger? Seliger.
Yeah, I do.
All right. We're just going to read your name in and then wait for your time and...
Nick
we're all set.
Sellinger, 23830, 7 Mile Road.
So I didn't come here to speak tonight. I came here to listen and see what everybody else is saying. From what I'm hearing, though, I kind of want to speak. There's a lot of information flying out there, whether you're just watching the news or you're doing your own research or whatever. There's a lot of information out there to decipher. There's thousands of doctors out there saying masks are good. There's thousands of doctors saying masks are bad, right? We're all divided. It's a divided nation right now. A little less divided than I think the news is telling us, but it is what it is. If you look at a mask, if you want to be a scientist, I've seen plenty of pictures, plenty of people testify to this. If you look at a mask, the threads, if you look at it under a microscope, are pretty big when you look at it under a microscope. The virus is so much minuscule to what these masks do. And really, we talk about masks. Who mandates the masks? Is your mask good? Is the gator good? Is the mask that grandma makes good? Nobody ever mandated it. There has not been peer-reviewed studies. There hasn't been any of that, scientific anything, all right? I'm a little nervous being up here. But, you know, who's to say which mask is right? All right, I get it. I talk to doctors. They wear their mask when they're in surgery. It's not to stop a virus. It's to stop their spit and other things like that, which is a lot larger than this virus is, okay? It was 15 days to stop the spread. Back then, I was like, hey, we don't know what it is. We don't have enough data. Let's do it. I was all about it. Now we've got over a year's worth of data. It's showing that kids are barely affected, and again, I'm going to say it with anybody that's got a kid that's immunocompromised. I feel for you, and I pray that your children will be safe. But for the average kid out there, look at the statistics. They're rarely getting sick, and it's a 99.9% chance that they're going to recover just fine, even more than that in kids. 99.9 or 97 or whatever it is for adults. I mean, this virus is not as bad as, I shouldn't say that because some people do get sick. I'm not saying it's fake, but I don't think it's as bad as the numbers are telling us. We got to get these masks off our kids. My daughter's sick every week from breathing her own stuff in, coughing. It's not good for our kids. We got to stop it. Thanks.
Beth Schmidt.
Beth Schmidt, West 175, South 7473, Park Drive.
And just wait for your time. Just
Missed the button.
okay, there you go. Thank you.
All right. I just want to thank everybody here on the board, too, for keeping our kids in school, getting them in school right away. That was huge, but things have changed. I wasn't going to come up here and speak tonight either, but I am just so sick to my stomach sending my 3 kids off to school every day with a mask on. We were born with immune systems, and when we take care of them, they fight off disease. And wearing these masks that we're breathing through material, we're breathing through fabric, we were meant to breathe fresh air. We were meant to breathe fresh air, and I believe our bodies can handle that. And I feel for the people that have children that are immune compromised. But for the most of us, let's eat some good food. We need to take off the mask. We need to breathe fresh air. We need to see each other smile. We need to see each other's faces. And yeah, I just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
The sooner we could get this done, the better. A week away, what's a week? What is a week going to do? We need to do this tomorrow. We need to do this now. This is so important. Looking at all you guys with these masks on it is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking because the data out there says that we can take them off. We can get out of them. They're not working. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Huckstorf? No? Okay, thank you. Corey Dillett. Is that right? Carly, thank you, Carly. Thank you. So we're going to read your name, and then if you just wait for your time, and then let loose. Okay.
Carly Dillett, West 145, South 766, Durham Drive.
Yep. Durham.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I do want to thank the board for having our schools open. That was awesome. However, I have 2 children that are affected by this on an opposite way. One that has ADHD and one that has selective mutism. So the science is completely the opposite way. Children that have those type of things should not have masks over their face. Actually, they cannot have a mask over their face. Having an 11-year-old that has that type of disease, I will say, you have no data having an 11-year-old masked for 7 hours a day. Zero data, zero facts. As well as a person that has selective mutism that needs to see a face to even learn. So you have taken that away from her. So my children do have a right to be in these schools. Actually, one of them I did pull out to go to a different school, just as the right that any other child has to go to school. And the data does show that these children should not be wearing masks. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan Belfast? You're good? All right. Mark Carfuta? Mark? Mark? Okay. Colton Pemble?
Thank you.
You're good? All right, thank you. Stephanie Dulke? Nope. You're good? Okay. Angela Picaro?
I'm good.
Did I say that right?
No, but that's okay.
All right, thanks, sorry. Allison Hateman?
No, thank you.
Good, thank you. Whitney?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yep.
That's good, because I had a hard time pronouncing that last name. Lily Pemble?
Lily Pemble, 8561 Francis Way. Francis?
You're outside.
I'm Lily Temple. I'm a freshman here. I wasn't planning on speaking, and I'm kind of bad at public speaking, so sorry, I'm a little nervous. As a student, I signed up for this semester and last semester thinking that I'd be wearing a mask and that my fellow classmates would be wearing a mask. I wear a face mask to protect my classmates from anything that I might have that I don't know about if I'm asymptomatic, and I just do it out of general common courtesy because I want to protect my classmates. I am so grateful for the school board and this district for staying open. I'm so grateful for being in person and the education that I'm receiving. I have amazing teachers this year. We only have 16 days left. I ask you that can you please, for me and my classmates and for our safety as a district, we just got to keep wearing a mask for just 16 more days. That's it. That's all I ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Lee Wagner?
No, thank you.
You're good? Is there anyone else who, I'm sorry. Yeah. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this topic? Anyone? Going once? Going twice? Okay, I will close public debate and public comment. So I just want, well, I appreciate the applause and all the passion here. I want to remind everyone that this is not a public meeting. It is our meeting held in public. So at this point, the public's out of it. Okay, the board needs to discuss it, debate it, throw water balloons at each other, whatever. That's what we have to do, and then we'll come to a vote, whatever that is, and then we will move on to our next item on the agenda, which is financial defeasance, if you're interested in staying for that. So thank you all for coming. Thank you all for your comments, your civility. We appreciate them very much. Okay? So, on to the discussion. The motion on the table and seconded is to strike all verbiage of the mask requirement in our student handbooks. That would be effective May 24th of 2021. Discussion.
I'd like to offer an amendment to this, the date of the 24th, to be effective as of tomorrow morning to midnight tonight. So effective tomorrow for school.
So you're making a motion to amend
The date.
the date from the 24th to the,
As of midnight tonight.
okay. So is there a second? The motion to amend fails due to a lack of a second. So let me give some context behind the date, okay? So it's understanding, and we hear everybody here, but I want to be clear that when we flatten the curve, we did succeed in doing what we initially set out to do, okay? Now, it's more than just that. For us to shift and try to accommodate anyone who would rather shift from in-person to virtual is simply not fair. To simply wake up tomorrow and then have it in their face. And the parents that simply have no chance to react. You wouldn't want that either. I wouldn't want that. We never gave that option to even before we masked. Everyone knew ahead of time. So it's more just common sense that if we make any policy change, we're going to ensure, one, that there's a communication that goes out, probably IC, and anyone who is uncomfortable with that, the same thing we offered, same thing we promised, we will be able to accommodate. And then those two items will be satisfied. And that is why there's a date. Now, what that date is, that's up to the board. I simply threw that date out there as a means to get our conversation going. So right now, I'm assured by our staff, by Dr. Thompson, that whatever decision we make, our staff and our schools are standing by to accommodate. So that's the reason, I just want to explain that there's a date delay on that. So back to discussion on the motion on the floor.
Well, then I'd like to do an amendment to instead of tomorrow, Thursday, the 20th.
So you want it, so the motion would be to amend the motion to have a start date of Thursday this week, right? Which would be what,
72 hours?
would that be 48 hours? Because they find out tomorrow.
Tomorrow's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
48.
So it'd be 48-hour notice. So basically, that would be a 48-hour notice, correct?
Correct.
So a motion to amend is made for this Thursday being the effective date. Is there a second?
Can we discuss how long, Kelly, how long will it take?
We have to go for this first.
I know,
We
but
have- Yeah, but we just have to,
yeah.
a motion to amend's on the table. We can come back and redo it,
Yeah,
but
we'll have
let's
to.
get this first.
We'll
Okay.
have to.
All right, the motion to amend to Thursday dies from a lack of a second. Now,
Kelly, can you explain to us how long it would take to convert a person who's in person to go virtual if that's what they decide to do because of our mask mandate change?
Well, essentially what's going to be happening is once we communicate with parents, so they'd have some time tomorrow, the next day, It's like a self-quarantine. You know, we're going through the process of a temporary distance learning for any individual who'd want to move from in-person to virtual. So there'll be time. Elementary is always a little bit longer just to get the materials and things like that. So depends on what grade level, I guess I'll have to say. There'll be a delay.
Oh, you also need to consider families that might need to make accommodations for their children that are going to now be home if they choose to move to virtual.
Work-related, you mean?
Yeah.
Like if they were working?
Childcare.
So any further discussion? Mr. Hyde.
I think it's important to keep in mind that when we made the decision to attend in-person class or in-person schooling, we did it with several weeks' notice so that parents could make that decision. Do I want to keep my kid in school or do I want to go into the virtual environment? Well, now we're asking parents to make that decision again, essentially, going from do I want to keep them in person or do I want to take them, by my count, about, if this motion as it stands is presented, about 9 school days. So I think they do need some time to allow them to make that decision. Looking at the discussion, looking at emails we had, this is not a clear cut. The community is massively in favor of it. There's a strong support for it compared to a strong support to keeping the mask requirement in place. But I still think we owe it to the parents and the students to allow that ability, give them time to make that transition so they can make that choice, make the whatever accommodations they need to do. So the 24th does seem like a reasonable date. It's 4 more days of school and then starting next week, if it passes as it currently stands, our students would be able to attend school with a recommendation, but not a requirement to wear a mask.
Any further discussion on the motion on the table?
I do want to make a statement.
Yes, please.
All right. So I know most of you know that I'm a pediatric nurse at Children's, and I'm not, but I'm not sure that you also know that I ran the COVID hotline and testing center at Children's from March to September. I started the program to screen children before their surgeries, since that's the area that I teach my students in, is in surgery. The reason why I bring this up is for 2 reasons. One is that I saw firsthand that who was being affected by COVID and what kinds of symptoms we were seeing while we were testing them. My data comes from the exposure that I saw at the front lines. I saw that most kids from ages 0 to 18 were not getting COVID, and it was clear to me that they were not being hospitalized also. I want to make it clear that I'm not minimizing the potential severity of the illness, because I do see that also. But I want to put it into perspective. Kids have a much higher chance of dying from accidental injuries than they do from dying from COVID. If we want to save lives, we should look at how we want to prevent injuries for kids, that whether it's safe to wear than whether it's safe to wear a mask. I'm afraid that we should be paying more attention to how kids are feeling right now, since suicides are on the rise. I feel that we need to look at the numbers that we have right now and decide something that what I hear every day in surgery. What are the risks and what are the benefits of moving forward? Of course, one of the risks is getting COVID, but within that risk, what is the outcome? Over 99% of the people have survived from COVID, and at this point, only 2.7 are testing positive within the state of Wisconsin. And of those that are testing positive, less than 1% are being hospitalized, with the majority of it being older adults. We now have vaccines available for those individuals that want it, and they can be covered by the vaccine, and so that minimizes the risk of them from getting the virus. And yes, kids are now in that category. Kids down to the age of 12 can receive vaccines for COVID. I again believe that it's up to the parents to decide whether or not their child should be vaccinated. When reading through the comments I've received on both sides of the mask debate, and I'm telling you, I have made multiple sheets of comments from every side. I believe that both sides are never going to really come to a consensus, unfortunately. I really believe that we may not find an answer to this problem tonight, but I feel like we can come to some sort of solution that both sides will be happy with. It seems as if both sides believe their rationale is the correct one, and I do believe that we need to try to make it work for both sides. So having the mask being optional would be a happy medium, making that those kids that don't want to wear the mask not wear the mask, and those that do. I caution, though, that we should not be shaming each other of the choices that the persons are making. For the argument about what could possibly be benefit of not wearing the mask, I truly believe it must be emotional. And I do believe that a person's emotions do affect their health. I believe stress increases your chances of fighting off diseases. I'm not 100% convinced that the masks aren't spreading bacteria or other harmful germs within them. What I would like to conclude is what we really need to focus on is the narrative that healthy people should not have to wear masks and only healthy people should be coming to school. If your child is ill, please do not send them to school. We do not want to jeopardize the good that we are trying to promote with making wearing the mask a personal choice. So with that, I believe that we do need some time to give these parents some time to take it all in, because it's going to be emotional. It's not going to be something that's easily decided, and I know that's going to disappoint some, but it's going to anger others. So in order to make this kind of a happy, I'm fine with the motion that's on the table.
Thank you, Tracy. Any other comments or discussion on the item that is on the table?
Yeah, I just want to read a statement.
Please.
All right. The commitment to keep the schools open has worked. The policy implemented at the time made sense to keep our kids in school and give them in-person learning environment. However, a lot of the CDC guidelines and other factors have changed from the beginning of the school year when this policy was implemented. Now the vaccine is available to the general public from the State Department of Health Services website alone. Waukesha County has 51% of the county that has at least one shot. 43.5% of the population have received both shots. Also, 85.1% of 65 plus, which is the vulnerable population, the mainly vulnerable population, have received both shots. Not to mention, over 80% of the school district and staff have received the vaccine, and it's really a personal choice to receive the vaccine, and if you wanted to receive one, you could have had it at this point. At the beginning of the year, we were told that masks and other mitigation measures need to be done to protect the vulnerable population. We succeeded in that. At this point, we can change the mitigation measures for masking and make it optional for each individual family. We can keep social distancing and concentrate on good hand washing techniques as a focus like it should be. During this past week, I visited 3 different schools in the district taking tours. Kids were struggling with wearing masks from me looking at the children there. They were touching their masks nonstop, rubbing their eyes, their hands were in their mouths. I received 40 plus emails from different people and citizens in this community who work in, and all people working in the healthcare industry, asking for the board to consider the effectiveness and need of masks in the current day. The truth is, masks have other side effects that we're not talking about. According to an article published, Face Coverings for COVID-19 from the Medical Intervention to Social Practice, and I quote, research shows that a moist mask is a breeding ground for antibiotic-resistant bacteria and fungi, which can undermine viral immunity. They're already talking about super bacteria right now that's going to be, that antibiotics are not going to be able to treat in future years to come. They recommend changing masks every few hours, and that's not happening. In addition, and I quote, face masking can provide an increase to stress hormones with negative impact on immune resistance in long term. Face masks prevent mirroring of facial expressions, a process that facilitates empathetic connections and trust between students and teachers. This potentially leads to a significant increase in mental health issues and stress. The students are tired of wearing masks. They are not wearing them properly by changing them every few hours and not touching their face mask It is impacting their mental health. The urgency to change this policy today is to protect their mental health, which is priceless. Another trend that I've noticed, the 7-day average at this point in this school district is 1 case per day. It's a 7-day average. With the improper utilization of masks and others not social distancing nor washing hands properly, cases of COVID-19 are still decreasing. This shows that there's no longer a huge community spread of COVID-19 due to the vaccine available and other measures. The guidelines have changed a lot since the beginning of the year. We need to give our families the choice of make this starting today.
Thank you, Kevin. Any other comments by the board? Sandra?
Leaving it up to choice is good. Let's teach and let parents make parent decisions. But if someone did send their child in person based on masks alone, and now we're changing that, it depends on the age of the child. How, like she was saying, how it would take the school different amounts of time for different, like, you have a high schooler, I can still go to work every day, and my child can do their work online. Personally, I don't. I have small children that would require my time. Like, I have to make arrangements. These aren't days off of school. These are still learning days. And when my kids are home, it takes me sitting there with them every step of the way because of their age, because of where they're at. And I think parents do need some time to make appropriate accommodations so that it interferes as least as possible with the learning.
Thank you, Ms. Sandra. Any other discussion on the motion currently before us? Going once. Going twice. After the vote, I just want to clarify with a comment, depending on how we go. All right, hearing no other discussion pending before this motion, the motion is to strike all wording of the mask requirements from our student handbook for the remainder of the school year effective Monday, May 24th, 2021. Would the clerk please read the roll? With me last.
Yes. Mrs. Boyer.
Yes.
Mr. Hyde.
Yes.
Mrs. Baus.
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes.
Mrs. Blair.
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. Buckmaster.
Yes. The vote is 7-0. The motion passes. That's it. Now, I want to be clear to the board what this means. So effective, so I assume a communication will go out, and the parents will then make that determination if they need an accommodation, depending on the grade. And Dr. Thompson has made it very clear staff is eager to accommodate, and as she has all year. And there are things, as far as athletics go, it's the home school has to be honored. We have no control over the home school. So wherever, if our teams travel to the host site, the host site's rules apply, not ours. While on a bus, federal guidelines require masks from the Department of Transportation. That is a requirement, or they cannot ride on the bus. Not ours, the federal requirement. So, so outside of that, we are good. So we'll take a quick break, and then we'll move on to our next action item. And then, well, I think before
Maybe
that,
we
we'll
should do
actually
Laura.
have Laura come before us and give her student report.
Hey, Chris, before we do that, can I just have a round of applause for all the people that spoke today and that came up and said anything? All right, that'd be fantastic, because you didn't have to do that. You took a lot of guts. Everybody's nervous, a lot of emotions, and I greatly appreciate everybody spending the time to come in here to listen to the meeting and expressing your concerns or for the policy. All right, so it's from all.
Okay, moving on, we're going to circle back to our student report. Laura, this will be your last board meeting, your last student report, and you're doing it in person.
Live from New York, it's Laura Dopke.
This would be your only.
Yeah, so welcome, Laura.
I'm glad to finally see you in person.
Great to see you.
Kyle.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't know they were clapping, and then just helped me in the beginning when Jared got quarantined and missed his first football game.
All right, sorry.
And it's, I really shouldn't.
Okay, Laura, Tracy. Tracy.
Thanks.
Hello, I'm so excited to finally be here in person. I'd like to formally introduce myself. I'm Laura Dopke. I'm a senior here at Muskego High School, and I'm so thankful to have been elected as a student school board representative this year for the class of 2021. And so, to conclude my year worth of reports, my final school board report, I'm so thankful to be in person to be able to talk to all of you finally. At the high school level, our drama department recently put on a production of The Brothers Grimm the week of April 30th. In addition, our jazz band also performed their last concert of the year on May 5th. And over the past few weeks, our students have taken close to 1,000 AP exams with the opportunity to earn thousands of college credits. What this means for our students and families is a potential to save thousands of dollars in college tuition. Also, our MHS students placed first at the Hostess State competition. Gabe Wichman, 5th place in medicinal math. Anushka Prasad, 4th place in health careers display. Emily Rashan, 4th place in health careers display. Alba Prasad, 4th place in veterinary science. Sheridan, 3rd place in healthcare issues exam. Casey Mayer, 10th place in behavioral health. Congratulations to all of our Hostess students. And the MHS Forensics team earned the Excellence in Speech Award from the WHSFA, meaning that the team was in the top 5% of medal earners in the entire state. MHS hasn't earned this award in over 30 years, and 5th in the state at WFCA, and now in the top 5% in our WHSFA. Our MHS soccer team also kicked off their season last week and had an impressive first game. Our student council also held a fundraiser and raised close to $1,000 for Alzheimer's research, and our Business National Honor Society spent the past weekend cleaning up parks throughout our community. I would also like to congratulate Cayman Ellis Howell and Jared Gibson, who were both named semifinalists in the 2021 High School Musical Theater category of the Hal Leonard Vocal Competition. Hal Leonard is a musical corporation and is the largest publisher of music in the world, and their vocal competition draws the best talent from across North America. Our MHS girls softball team kicked off their season and are currently fundraising, and if you are interested, you can find more information on the MHS newsletter. Our Muskego-Norway School District has partnered with Summit Clinical Laboratories to also offer an M&S COVID-19 vaccine clinic at Muskego High School during the day. I didn't have any updates from the middle school level from my last report, so moving on to the elementary school level, at Bay Lane, they had an outdoor volunteer opportunity for everyone else. Their field day is going to be Friday, June 4th, and there are links included in the Bobcat Blast newsletter if people are interested in volunteering. Bay Lane Students Subcommittee is focusing on their upcoming theme, focusing on perseverance. Moving on to Lakeview, Lakeview celebrated reaching 800,000 reading minutes this week with an all-school dance party on the playground. Students have been submitting reading logs since early November, and weekly grade level challenges have kept reading engagement high at the school, is quickly approaching 900,000 minutes. Their 3rd and 4th grade has completed the forward exam this week, where students put forth their best effort to showcase their highest levels of learning occurring for all students at Lakeview. In kindergarten, students were wrapping up their science unit on observing and describing the structures of chicks. They are also super excited each morning to see the life cycle of a chicken from an egg to a chick. Finally, at Mill Valley, first the Mill Valley PTO has been raising money and has had some donations from local businesses for Sensory Path at school. Because of the PTO's efforts, Mill Valley now has Sensory Paths available indoors and outdoors.
Indoors, there are mats located around the building, and these mats can be unrolled in spaces and hallways to be used. Outdoors, a sensory path was painted on the west side of the blacktop and the south side of the blacktop, where students can use these opportunities with their class when a student needs a break or during recess. Secondly, May means that they're gearing towards their community garden. The community garden is a tradition that was brought over from Muskego Elementary. This year, the third grade students will be planting on May 27th. All other grades will have responsibilities such as watering, weeding, and harvesting. In the fall, they will harvest all the produce planted, and the fresh produce is all donated to the Muskego Food Pantry. Last year, Mill Valley was able to donate over 500 pounds of fresh produce to the Muskego Food Pantry. And to help students gain a better understanding about the gardens and the vegetables they're growing, students will learn about the veggies, and each will be able to try the vegetables that will be in the garden on Wednesday, May 12th. They would also like to additionally thank the Tahoe Food Services for supplying the veggies and preparing individually packaged, bit-sized pieces for each student to try. And I am pleased to introduce to you Ms. Alana Perry will be your next student school board representative next year. And I would like to thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Laura. Give my feedback. I'm always willing to take it.
Laura, I really want to thank you. Laura, I think the board as a whole, and especially when they can chime in, you've really raised the bar on the student reports. From covering all the schools to your uniquely inspiring and passionate videos. And they were so comforting to watch. And it was so nice to have that available to us, especially during a time of COVID when we're all just dealing with, right, the pandemic. And then you come on and you're just, passionate, and your videos, and people can see them at home. So, on behalf of the board, thank you so much for all your efforts, okay?
Thank you, and I'd like to thank all of you this year for having us be in person. I'm so thankful to have been in school every single day of my senior year, and I think I owe it to the class of 2022 who didn't get to finish their senior year. I've been able to participate in all of my extracurriculars, and I'm so thankful because I have so many friends who haven't had those opportunities. And I'm so thankful to be standing here in front of you today. It makes me super happy, and I'm glad that I could bring some happiness to your guys' meetings as well. I've really appreciated this, and if you haven't heard me talk enough this year, I will be the MC at the senior class graduation ceremony, so.
Laura, normally throughout the year, we get a little chance to learn about our student representative. Unfortunately, we couldn't this year. So real briefly, what are your plans for next year?
Next year, I will be attending the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater Honors College and planning on majoring in marketing and business with a minor degree in music. Music is something I'm extremely passionate about and excited to also pursue after high school. And it was important for me to find a major where I can communicate with other people and just be a smiling face for everyone around me. So I'm excited to pursue that degree after.
Well, that's a great choice because you did a phenomenal job on all your reports you did through. You went through them quickly. You pronounced pretty much every word correctly, which is very tough to do when you're trying to get a report in under like 5 minutes. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just need to know, what's your trick for your energy?
I don't know. I don't really sleep that much. I don't know. One of my main goals in life is just to make other people smile and just to be a smiling face for them. And I love just being somebody for someone to come to and just being a smiling face and a good friend for everyone else. And I love just radiating positivity for the residents around me. It makes me a happier person, and I hope to make other people around me happy as well.
Well, I've known Laura since first grade. I was her Girl Scout leader. So we've had many encounters together. But she's always been very passionate about her drama because we always love doing all the activities and all of our little badges that we had to get. But one thing I did want to really say that I appreciate is hearing from all the different schools. Because now as my kids are getting older, I don't have kids in the elementary school and I don't know what's going on there. So when you bring that to our board and let us know what's going on, it just makes it feel like we're more inclusive and that we, understand what's going on with their schools. So thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. That was another thing that I was so happy about. Like, with at least my position on exec board, I was able to be more involved in the whole community as a whole, and I got to meet the principals and like email them and talk with them a bit, and just finding out what's going on around the whole district is not something that I would have known otherwise. So that was an opportunity that I was thankful to like incorporate as well. I didn't have much guidance going into this year, so I kind of just tried my best, and I guess it paid off. So
Yeah, nice job. Nice job,
thank
Laura.
you all.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
And a big welcome to Alana Berry. So we'll welcome Alana.
I'm going to go change it.
You can have a high hurdle there, okay?
I cannot see it.
Yeah, I know this. Let me get reset here. Okay,
Is
so
that
that
closed?
completes our student report. We will now go back on to item 6, resolution action items. Item B, budget assumptions.
Sorry.
I'm not sure what Jeff Pierce is doing.
Well, we can't
We can't
see.
see,
We
so
can't see
that's
anything.
what-
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you,
Do
Jeremiah.
we need to break? Or is that-
To the left, to the left.
Okay, so this is where you need me, right?
So, yeah, so the budget assumptions, so then I'll just say motion in order.
So motion to approve the preliminary budget assumptions previously discussed.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All looks very good, exactly what we discussed. Think we're good? All right, hearing no discussion, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Julie. Moving on to resolution action items C.
Motion, oh, sorry.
Sorry. Resolution authorizing the transfer of the funds for the establishment of an escrow account with respect to and the defeasance of certain of the general obligation school building and improvement bonds dated July 5th, 2016.
I'll get it in a second.
All right, you're good. Fine.
Motion to approve the resolution authorizing the transfer of funds, the establishment of an escrow account with respect to and the defeasance of certain of the general obligation school building and improvement bonds dated July 5th, 2016.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Yep.
Hang on 1 second. Brett, you second, right? Okay, out of like, you know, all of the other emails we got this week, I did get one email that was related to defeasance. And I've since talked to Julie about it, and I thought it may be just beneficial for everybody. If it's okay, Julie, I may need some help. But the question was that in the inflationary environment that we're in, the cost of debt relative to that seems to go down. So would it be more beneficial for us to levy for capital expenditures moving forward, knowing that costs are rising, versus defeasing funds and putting them in an escrow account? Which I thought was a good question and didn't have the entire answer to, but Julie helped me understand that, one, we can only levy, right, for Fund 39, and we cannot levy for Fund 46, which was the suggestion by this individual, and that it has to be used for debt repayment. So I thought it was a good discussion we had, and Julie helped us understand. So we really don't, there isn't any other way we can direct the funds if we're going to levy for Fund 39. Did I say all that right?
Yes, you did.
All right, sounds good. So it was,
You're getting the levy.
but I just thought it was
In one
interesting. to get
breath.
that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Sorry. So it was a good
Excellent.
discussion.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Now let's hope the inflation doesn't get too bad.
Oh, yeah, it's,
Yeah, because as we see costs, especially as we're talking about master planning and things like that, the question was, where is it better off served? But we're limited in our choice. And it's real dollars that we'll be saving from an interest rate perspective.
correct,
So,
because the interest rate and a callable date.
Right.
So,
Yep.
so, thank you, Bob. Any other discussion on the defeasance? fairly good. I mean, it's an awesome job. It's just awesome that we can do this to our debt and that we can keep the tax base low, prepay debt, and just cut back the interest and overall still maintain an awesome school district. So,
Well, and I guess, can I say one more thing, actually? I wanted to thank Julie just for the continued effort in this regard, right? We've all pretty much laid out the desire to keep the levy as flat as possible or slightly decreasing, and this is a way to save the district real dollars in the future. And just the thoughtfulness that she puts into that kind of analysis is appreciated, and her very easy explanation for questions that come up, I appreciate, so.
thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Hearing none. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item D, gifts, grants, and bequests.
Is there a motion to accept with thanks the following donations? Muskego High School from the following organizations: MHS Wrestling, Marcia and David Mahoney, $500. This is not letting me go back. Sorry.
Oh, you have it?
I think I do, yep. And then for Muskego High School from the following organizations: MHS Cheerleading, Muskego Cheer Booster Club, $1,000 for use of Coach Sadesky 2021 contract stipend. I believe that's it.
Cassandra? A motion is in order? Brett?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cassandra, I thought you were in trouble.
He's calling you out. He would do that. They can go to the principal's office.
Her reaction was perfect. Her reaction was perfect.
All right, well, thank you very much for those donations. All those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. All right, moving on. Item 7, discussion items. A 2021-22 budget. Standing item? Okay.
Placeholder.
Yeah. Onto item B, employee handbook.
Okay, that's me.
Okay, Julie?
So the employee handbook, we bring to you every year with any updates that need to occur. This year, really we went through and just made some modifications to clear up language that was just confusing. It's really no significant adjustment to the handbook. However, at the end of the handbook, we have added a section called annual required notices. So these are notices that are required for all staff. Our employees sign off on this handbook every year and certify that they have read and understand it. So this was an area that we could include all those notices in one area, have everybody sign off at the same time that they're aware of them, and then if they change, we can bring them back annually and make those modifications. They also link directly to our policies, which are in board docs, so as the policy changes, the link would constantly be updated. So that's really the major change in the handbook this year. Again, nothing significant other than anything required just to clarify language or any legal change as a result of like workers' comp or FMLA. So nothing significant. What we do then is once the board approves this, the employees will receive this for review with the changes. They don't have to go through the whole thing again. They'll see directly what we've made modifications to, and they'll just sign off on those changes as well.
Any comments, concerns, or suggestions?
Did you have one?
Yeah, so they sign off on this annually?
They do.
Saying that, but it's possible that we can change some of the links?
Yeah, so the links go directly to the board policy. That is correct. And then we do make our leadership team aware of any changes to board policy that may impact staff so that they are aware and can communicate that out as well. Yes. Correct. Yep, there is a caveat in the statement that the board policy can change as laws require and as the board makes modifications, and so they are responsible for just remaining updated on those. And so if there's anything significant that would impact employees directly, we would provide notification.
My question, Julie, was on page, okay, hold on, I just lost it because I scrolled up. Page 7, you had Michelle and you listed as a contact, but now you're off of that. Is there another, like, what's the backup if she's not available?
So it's still myself, Jeff, or Jeremiah. It just lists Michelle as the main point of contact for all of the filing of the paperwork, and then if she needs to involve any one of us for any FMLA reason, she would then bring us in.
So, okay, so my question is though, as an employee, if they're not able to get in contact with her, they would just automatically assume to go to you or Jeremiah then? Would they know that? Or would that have to be in the, I don't know.
That's a great question. We do have our who to go to for what questions for staff, which is a document that we update, and I would be listed there
Okay.
as
And
well.
that's somewhere that they have, or is that?
Yes.
It's not in the handbook?
That's sent out. No, it's sent out. It's on the website. Well, for the parent one's on the website, but and the staff one, I believe.
Yeah,
And we
we
send
send
that out, I
that
believe,
out.
in the biweekly.
The other thing is if Michelle isn't available, her automatic reply would indicate who needs to be contacted
Okay.
based on whatever.
I'm just thinking
information.
FMLA stuff is kind of time
Yep,
sensitive.
for sure.
I don't, yeah. And I did like the sentence about the funeral being 250 miles or farther, because we don't have that. That's kind of nice. You get an extra day if they're farther away, which is kind of nice. That's a nicety.
This would come back in June.
June, right?
Mhm.
The second, the first one or second? First, or second?
There's only one in June,
That's why it would probably be the
the first or the second.
would be the first.
June.
Yeah, the June one, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We can work on that.
Sorry, zoned out again. All right, so, where are we?
Discussion items?
Thank you. Okay, employee handbook. Any other comments, concerns, or suggestions on the employee handbook? Okay, hearing none, moving on. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Item 8, information follow-up. I do want to just point out that Mr. Britt is now the head boys hockey coach.
Saw that.
Finally,
Yeah.
finally.
Is that great?
So please consider that Dr. Thompson and Ryan, okay,
Yeah.
his upcoming performance. Okay, that's very good. Been working a long time on that. I'm very, very thankful that we have boys hockey now.
Mhm.
And it was awesome that we had girls first.
Right.
Kind of had to be that way.
You know, because they were the ones who actually were able to craft it, right?
Yeah.
They came, do you remember?
Yeah, she came to
You recall they
Lakeville.
came to the board meeting and they
Lakeview.
actually petitioned, and it was so awesome, and that was so cool.
We were sitting next to her.
Oh.
Or-
Yeah,
Remember that?
just before we were on.
Before we
Made
were
my
on.
day.
Yep.
Oh, that was awesome. All right, okay, just make sure I got everything here. We covered everything, went back to the student report, took care of the action items. Okay, I have no communication and miscellaneous business is authorized by law. Just to note that our graduation, all those board members attending will probably get an email from Todd. And then, as far as the time and what, show up and where we'll be, it'll be a first for us, though Todd is, Mr. Irvine is very gifted in this, right, because he's done this before. So having an outdoor graduation, so it'll be interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. So,
What's the weather look like, Jeremiah? Because I know you've been looking.
Looks like the 80s.
Oh, wow.
sunny,
It's going to be hot. The night before, snow.
so, having said that, I think that our last board meeting is the last week of school. and after that, we're a little short until we pick up again in August. Okay, so. All right.
Chris,
Yes.
just so you know, that the next board meeting is the same day as the scholar athlete presentation. I will not be
Is
here.
that in the PC? I think it is.
I
right?
think it is,
Yeah, I
too.
think they do that. In the PC, is that done at like 5,
7.
7?
Yeah, I don't know. I did email Ryan, but
Well, we could, actually, I would be involved in that too. So, we'll see if maybe we need to just,
Has it
You
been
know,
that
we'll
kind of
just
year,
see.
Kelly?
Kelly,
come on now.
Alex is like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? Yeah, okay. No. All right, well, why don't we just see, and we'll get back to each other on that. Okay. All right, having no other business before this board, a motion to adjourn is in order, Mr. Bowman.
So moved.
second.
All those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you. Oh yeah, the scholar athletes at 7.
Yeah, I thought there was a weird time, because I thought last year it was earlier.
Yeah.
They did have it
Or
earlier.
not last year,